Fortunately, they did not reach the chamber of the Lord of Sipan, but they did destroy that of the priest. Entire generations of grave robbers have, since the arrival of the Spanish, systematically destroyed the archaeological remains of Peru. Every day, gangs unearth and ransack yet more ancient treasures, which they then sell to the illegal dealers in antiquities for a few miserable dollars, but enough to feed their families. These objects are made of gold and come from the tomb of the Lord of Sipan. The police seized them from the grave robber Ernil Bernal, and they provided the clue for the archaeologist Walter Alva to discover the extraordinary Moche mausoleum. Hundreds of pyramids remain to be excavated. They look like hills due to the effects of the rain, which, though scarce, deforms them, causing them to blend into the natural landscape. This is the Huaca Rajada, the crack tomb, as the burial complex of the Lord of Sipan is popularly known. Excavations are still going on at this extraordinary find. It is the first time that the burial site of an important Moche nobleman has been discovered intact. This complete series of different interrelated elements, 1,700 years old, represents a decisive advance in the study of this culture.
The discovery of the tomb of the Lord of Sipan sums up all the drama of archaeology in Peru, a country with an extraordinary past, with many monuments and remains of different peoples and cultures which flourished one after another over a period of 3,000 years. Few resources to conserve them, and constant ransacking of these monuments in order to sell to collectors. Sipan is a Moche sanctuary. It was about to be looted at the start of '87 when Peru was going through a very severe crisis. The grave robbers, the gangs of ransackers, looted entire areas, the archaeological sites. It was a scandal. A tomb was raided, some gold objects taken. The police intervened on the 23rd of February of that year and seized some gold objects. I went to the police station one night that summer and was astonished to see 2 or 3 spectacular objects which must have come from an incredibly rich tomb. The next day, I went with the police and we saw that, in effect, a very rich tomb had been looted. The police continued to investigate, and we tried to protect the place, but it would certainly have been destroyed. Almost the entire village, urged on by the traffickers and the professional grave robbers, were coming to the monument to destroy it, to ransack it. We decided urgent action was needed, and after a first dramatic intervention, which meant chasing away the grave robbers and the villagers who had taken possession of the site, we began work on what we considered was an archaeological rescue mission, and which, 6 months later, led us to one of the most fascinating archaeological discoveries in the New World.
Buried in a wooden coffin, the first to be discovered in America, the Lord of Sipan lies surrounded by enormous quantities of gold and silver objects. In the replica, which occupies the place of the original coffin, we can see these ornaments, a reflection of his status as governor. His body is conserved in the Running Museum in Lambayeque. He was buried along with his 3 wives, a warrior, a priest, and a child, and further up in a corner the guardian, his feet cut off to symbolically prevent him from escaping. He was a boy of around 9 years old who, because he was pure, would be able to lead his master into the afterlife. Close by, hundreds of pottery vessels filled with the food they would need in the other world. Everyone considered it an honor to be buried alongside the great Lord. His personal counselor was the last to be buried.
Logically, it was a high-ranking lord. There are jewels, gold ornaments, quality objects, and a wealth of gold, silver, and metalwork that is simply amazing. But we also discovered that these objects and these jewels are special religious symbols that provide us with in-depth knowledge of the Moche world.
Up to now, 12 tombs have been found at this one burial complex. The most important ones are those of the Lord of Sipan, that of the previous governor, who they called the Old Lord, and that of the priest, who in Moche society was second in the hierarchical system, immediately below the governor. Work is carried out meticulously, photographing each new discovery, noting down even the smallest details which could provide information. It is a complex puzzle in which each piece must be fitted into its correct place in order to reconstruct the history of the civilization which flourished here almost 2,000 years ago. Even the adobe bricks, which the grave robbers normally destroy as they ransack, are here classified by groups. People would donate them for the construction of the pyramid, and each family marked them with their own stamp. All the pieces are duly registered.
The poor farmers are encouraged to destroy and loot the tombs of their ancestors by traffickers. The traffickers are the result of an international art market that demands archaeological objects. There are people in the United States and Europe who demand art objects for decorative purposes, or because they love culture, or supposedly love art. What they are promoting is the looting, the destruction, and the mutilation of mankind's history, not only that of Peru. We archaeologists not only recover objects, we recover information, we recover testimonies, we recover the history that will enable us to reconstruct the past of humanity.
Every night, under the cover of darkness, the robbers continue to find treasures, raiding the tombs of the Moche, Chimu, Chancay, Huacas, Nazca. The treasures they unearth are bought for pitiful sums by unscrupulous merchants and sold on the black market. With their rods, they search the ground. They're very experienced, and by sense of touch, they know what lies beneath. But on many occasions, they break and destroy objects of incalculable value. The mummies are pulled out in pieces, and so all the information they could give is lost, and the cloths and funeral canopies are destroyed and left abandoned in the sand. This is a Chancay tomb. We are 1 hour from Lima along the Pan-American Highway. The entire coastal region is like an enormous archaeological treasure with hundreds of thousands of burial sites. The police cannot hope to guard all this territory, and the bands of ransackers are always able to find a way to escape unnoticed.